for your fresh foods. You'd equally brave the risky streets, exposing yourself to the virus.
Cut the hustle. If you're in Mbarara, all your fresh foods can now find you on your doorstep. Download a Let's Farm Shop app from Play Store to order now.
Good morning, our viewers of AYIT TV, and welcome to the Youth Feedback, a program that always runs on Sundays at 11 a.m. and with your host, Sam Ahimsiwe. And this is a program where we set our focus on issues that are very important to us and are worth mentioning and debating about them. It has been a long week, and of course, after a compulsory mandate for institutions, especially higher institutions of learning, to embrace e-learning, it is incumbent upon different stakeholders who are our parents, students, and government. And talking of government, we mean the government itself, the executive. There are other bodies that also pertinent to us, like Uganda National Students Association, which is our center of focus for today. This is a body that was formed in 1988, and among its objectives for its establishment are to guide and support all students of Uganda in promotion of their academic pursuits and achievement of successful careers. Among others are foster mobilization of students towards pertaining of their welfare and national development. Thirdly, to ensure and promote mutual relationships among students and between students. But the most important and underlining part is that to negotiate with the government, the Ugandan government, on any matters concerning students generally. So the objectives they have are many in number. There are 10, but among those that are very crucial are those 3. This has, of course, now caused us to worry whether UNSA is awakened to its role of achieving these objectives that they talked about. Their constitution is clear that for you to be a part of the UNSA executive and fight for these rights, you have to be a student. But it is also clear that it is not specific which type of student you have to be. A student can vary from different levels. With all those challenges in place, it has caused an action which might be looked at as inappropriate, but a student and a leader, it was incumbent on him to write to the Prime Minister's office, and also write to the ministry. Of course, through the other channels it's supposed to go through, like the guild president and the administration. So this person went and skipped all those stages and went up to the ministry.
He was very right.
He was very right.
100% right.
Thank you. He says he was very right. But we shall come to that. And we asked him about the reason why he had to do that. What caused him to write to the ministry? And he had his issues to present. This student is Mayira Stewart, a student at Bara University of Science and Technology. And shortly is what he has for us, explaining why he did what he did. Let's watch. Okay, as it is coming, first of all, the first letter he wrote to the Prime Minister was seeking for aid to the students to be considered among those groups to achieve aid. Then the other written to the ministry was the government, through all the agencies, UNSA inclusive, to at least come and provide a package, a plan to students. Government, through its institutions, has advocated for us to go online. But can the government help us at least to have everyone on board, not to miss our years? Let us watch for what he had to explain regarding the reason why he wrote the letter he did.
My name is Stuart Mayera, also known as Stuart Gates. I'm a YATU student from Pharmaceutical Sciences and the GRC of that constituency. I greet you all in the name of the Almighty God. Thank you for the opportunity of inviting me on this platform to discuss and answer a few questions you have posed to me. I was asked why I had to go to the ministry myself such that I can further my course. Skipping levels, I opted to skipping levels rather than going direct to the ministry. Well, allow me first to put you right that it was not, I didn't go to the ministry for my own cause. Rather, I went to the ministry for the cause of all of us generally. To begin with, this is how I'm going to explain this to you. What do you do? Allow me to begin by posing the question to you. What do you do in case the leaders are not doing what they are supposed to do? In case the leaders are reluctant, what do you do? Because I myself, at some point, I realized there are a lot of inaccurate, incorrect, erroneous, unlawful, reprehensible, and iniquitous acts that are going on. But you find that these are going on in our presence, and everyone is remaining silent. Speaking about this is like swallowing one's own soul. So at this point, this is where my mind and my soul and my emotions got filled up, and I decided to pick a pen and a paper to write to whom it concerns. Well, because that explains that the people maybe we had expected to do it didn't do it in time. So I decided to pick a pen and a paper, just like any other concerned citizen of Uganda or any other concerned student. That is what you have to do, because sometimes you find that the leaders disappoint us. They don't do what they are supposed to do in time and on time. So that is where we end up doing things ourselves. Well, I didn't skip levels as such, as you may call it, but the people who are supposed to do the tasks I did were not compliant. Somehow they disappointed us. They didn't keep in touch with us, the students generally. So that is how we decided. But an encouragement to fellow leaders and to the entire population is that we should work together to achieve the impossible. Yes. Well, I decided to do that because, just like Martin Luther King Jr. said, that the time is always right to do what is right. I believe that I did what is right because any time is right to do what is right. Lastly, to end with, I'm encouraging all of us that we should come up with solutions, since our leaders at times don't seem to care for us, but instead care for the next general election. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
What he did. Before I can take on my guests today, you can also be a part of this show by giving us your minds regarding the impact and the role that those organizations like UNSA is supposed to be doing, provided that it has not called out for any assistance or any program from the government to assist us with online learning. With me in studio, I have distinguished gentlemen and people who are experienced in the political arena, and there are people who whose ideas are appreciated. I will start with Mr. Denmark Adios, former Guild President, Bishop Stewart University. Must say I am bewildered by the names. Are you born in Uganda?
Yeah, I'm Ugandan. Actually, I'm Chiga from Uganda.
Then you're Adios.
Yes, I'm Adios. Always democratic in charge of success.
Welcome to the show. Greet our viewers.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all our fellow youths out there. My name is Denmark Adios, Beinomutisha, former Guild President, Bishop Stewart University, former aspiring member of Parliament, Western Region. Thank you very much.
Former?
Youth member of Parliament.
Well, okay.
Yes, aspiring youth member of Parliament, Western Region.
Oh,
yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Also with me is the only lady, and she's called Honorable Cynthia. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning. Is it still good morning? Yes, good morning to our distinguished viewers. My name is Cynthia Kahira, an aspirant of Deputy Speaker, Uganda National Students Association, and the General Secretary of the University of St. Joseph Bar. And I'm happy to be with you here today.
You're welcome. And lastly, our very own Honorable Ampumuza Dalton. He's also the Speaker, Bishop Stewart University, and a candidate vying for positions at the UNSA. Please,
thank you very much, our dear viewers. It's been a great week and a great time to come back for another opportunity, always on such Sundays. But most importantly, as we dissect matters that regard such associations of students and other bodies, we shall engage as much as we can, and it's my honor to meet you again after a great week.
Thank you very much. And I will also remind you that you can be a part of this show. Please send in your feedback. We are live on Facebook, YouTube. Keep those comments coming in. And first things first, I would like to pick your mind on what you think of this student who took it upon himself to write to the ministry direct. Of course, this calls for not appreciating that some leaders can do something at certain time. Let me begin with you, Denmark.
Thank you very much. Like I said before, the gentleman is very, very 100%.
Yes.
And I have reasons why I'm saying the gentleman is right.
Yes.
Very many people have the capacity to do better than what he has done, but they are silent. Talk of the vice chancellor. They have students who are stuck in the hostels. Talk of the guild president. He or she is aware that students are stuck in their hostels, right?
Yes.
And they know those students are there in their hostels not because it's what they wish, but because of the conditions, right? And they are not willing to help their own people, the very students who are their own, right? So the very young gentleman, whom I saw is a GRC member, right?
Yes, yes.
He has decided to come up with such an idea of helping his own students in a different way, of alarming or making an alarm to the what? To the Prime Minister,
Yes.
who happens to be in Abanja, right?
And even to the Ministry of Education.
And even the Minister of Education.
Advocate
is
is
calling
for-
Mama Janet Museveni to
Yes,
help,
yes.
right? And Mama Janet is aware that students are stuck. Don't think that they have just known this because of this very young man. They have been aware, but they are quiet. They are silent. To me, I give that very gentleman a credit. He has done what he's supposed to do as an activist, as a young boy. He or she is seeing the fellow students, how the fellow students are suffering from the hostels. So it's attached.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the only lady we have, what is your idea on his decision to write to the ministry?
Yeah, thank you so much. According to me, I'm also appreciating what the gentleman did, because it was really good to the fellow students that are really stuck in hostels, and we are all aware that the students are stuck in hostels because of different reasons, because of different personal reasons, of course, because most of the students were told to go home in the first place, and they are given enough time to go home, and they are even given, some people were informed of what was going to take place. But of course, sometimes some students they may have not known the challenges that would come in, like how the 42 days would be. but they still had to keep in hostels and maybe do what not. But we are, I'm really humbled and appreciative to the gentleman who came out of the whole guild committee, left the guild president who would have done that, the speaker, maybe the what, and came out to maybe to address the fellow students that were really facing that issue, which I think we always see such things to be done by some other big people. That's how we always think. But I think him doing that, it is not supposed to be a challenge or whatnot, but that is what we are supposed to do as leaders.
Yes.
That is what every leader is supposed to do. So we are not supposed, honestly, to blame the guild president for not doing that, or maybe the guild speaker for not doing that, or maybe even the Ministry of Education and whatnot for not doing that. But this is a personal concern that we are all supposed to do, for us to be responsible leaders, for us to show the responsibility of citizens of this country of Uganda. So honestly, me, I'm just appreciating what he has done. It is just a challenge to most of us, the leaders, that have not done that or have not brought that on table. Honestly appreciative to the gentleman, and maybe that is what I can talk about that. Thank you so much.
Yes, and he wrote 2 letters. One was for asking relief from the Prime Minister's office to the students, of course, now who might be in those areas, like you say, stranded in hostels. But also he wrote this letter to the ministry advocating for, it was entitled Request for Making Internet Services Cheaper for Students in Uganda. Is it possible, like, for us to have? But before that, let us have Dalton's view of his letters.
Okay, thank you very much, dear panel. There is one fundamental thing that you must know. It is that as well as the former aspirant Western Youth MP said that this young man, but it would be young man in life, but I think one who has capacity to do such a thing must be an old man in approach.
Excuse me, are you young or you are an old man? If I may start with you, are you young or you are an old man?
It would be in an approach of things. You not call me a young man.
You can answer my question first. Are you a young man or an old man? What makes you young and what makes you old?
So I didn't know the picture you brought in.
If I can protect you,
yes.
I think his submission is about, he's saying that the man might be young in age, but he's brilliant in the mind.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So the approach to have taken this responsibility does not make him a young man.
Yes.
And this is a responsibility, like she said, for every citizen. Yes. And by the way, in leadership, you know, the Bible talks about it. King David was almost no one, and you know,
yes.
But in the end, is the one that became a savior at the end of it all. So we not have to attach it to the vice chancellor should have done this, the guild president should have done this. It should be everyone to have done this in the long run. So I give a credit to him, and I encourage him that in such a stake where we are youth, we need a collaborative effort. That him alone might not achieve this that he's doing, because we know the kind of systems that we're in. We need to mandate everyone, get to his hostel felmates, get to his classmates, get to the entire GRC body that he's in. And by the way, me as a speaker at my institution, the man that I credit most is a GRC member, because I understand the capacity that these guys have, because they understand the solidarity of everything they choose to discuss in our council time and in their parliament. So this man is a very brilliant man, and it is a responsibility for every citizen to have done this. And I think the only thing he needs to do is to call us all to table and say, now I've written letters, what else can we put on?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Honorable Stewart, wherever you are, you have taken a unanimous vote. Everyone has voted in favor of you, saying everything you did was good. But of course, we are leaders, and when you're a leader, you have to appreciate certain things you may not even be interested in. But when you're a leader, there are always protocols and levels that you are supposed to go through. Looking at it from the other side of the coin, some leaders will criticize what he did. Somebody will have to say, in your letter, we need approval that your requests were made known to at least maybe, if not the guild president, if not the administration, maybe some local leadership from your before you can go to the ministry directly. So, what do you think of that? Because we need not to see it from only one side.
Why would an activist first write a letter to the Vice Chancellor? This is a very gentleman, like Honorable Daughter said, he's an activist, right? He's now a gentleman, I'm sorry for calling him a young person. But this very gentleman is an activist. And why would an activist first write to the Vice Chancellor? Like I said from the start, the Vice Chancellor is aware that there are very many students who are stranded in what? In the hostel. You may find even this very gentleman, Mr. Stewart, even has no access to the what? The office of the Vice Chancellor. Very many offices are closed at the moment, right?
Right now,
that's according to me. That's according to me, because I don't know much about masks.
Well,
by the time you get access to the Ministry of Health, you cannot get
no, right.
The Ministry of Education,
let
you
me
cannot
inform you.
get access to
You see, I am the moderator. Let me inform you. This guy is in Kampala because when they were told,
so the ministry is near
closer to him than
the university.
university.
So the very gentleman is very right handed, but there is no need of a protocol. This is the war. The very gentleman is fighting. He's fighting to help his fellow students who are stuck in hostels. There's no need of following a protocol, according to me. No need. After all, he's aware that even if he writes letters, 100 letters to some of the people, because for such a person who is a GRC member, to wake up in the morning and write a letter to the office of the Prime Minister, at the same time to the Minister, yet he's aware that the guild president is there. At the same time, the Vice Chancellor is there. There must be a very big reason why. So I can't blame him. The very gentleman is very right 100%. He's fighting to help the very stuck students who are in the hostels.
So, Honorable Cynthia, you seem to have a different opinion from his.
Yeah, me, I still disagree with him, saying that he was not supposed to follow the protocol.
Though you first of all, in your first introduction, you supported him.
Yeah, I supported him. Of course, I still support him. I still support him, but this issue of saying he was not supposed to follow the protocol, sometimes, of course, like he said, it is a war. But of course, for our war to be successfully, for someone to overcome our war successfully, sometimes there are some things you have to consider.
If I may come in, there is a certain quotation which says that war does not determine who is right, but who is left. At the end, yes, who survives. So. For Dalton now, what do you think? Your parting shots on that?
No, it shouldn't be a picture of what the guy has done. It should be the picture of the outcome, to my understanding.
Yes.
In the long run, these students helped. In the long run, is this tax reduced and people are able to get internet?
Yes.
But we understand that sometimes these things are impossible. But the question is that whereas a whistleblower has to come out and say or state about anything, he doesn't really need to take protocol, and I can agree with you, because he's a whistleblower. And now it is incumbent of us as students. And that is why I bring in UNSA and say, now we have gotten a member of us, has come out as a whistleblower. And I said, look, we have thousands of students that possibly cannot access internet. We have thousands of students that are starving in hostels. And now, what is our stake? That is the fundamental question in the long run that we need to understand. As far as he has put us a gap, whereas he has not taken any protocol because he's a whistleblower and has identified any problem at hand. So the relevant bodies, what are we doing? And that is where we should even have started the conversation and say, okay, this student has done his part, then who and what else are you people putting on table?
So all in all, you say that we should, of course, stop criticizing and come on board to make sure we at least now do it collectively.
Yeah, achieve something at the end of it.
Yes, our viewers, it is getting hotter, but we didn't mean to continually discuss his letter. We are here to see the impactful cause of bodies, among which we have Uganda National Students Association. We have not heard of any single statement or communication from Uganda National Students Association, whose patron is the president of the Yes, and we expect their communication to be very, very vital and audible. But how can we have them, especially you, provided we have people who are contesting, and you are the youth MP?
The former.
The
Actually,
former.
I'm a former aspiring.
Yes.
I'm not the youth member of parliament.
Okay.
Maybe if I'm shadow youth member of parliament.
That is interesting. So, as we go for the short commercial break, we want to see, is writing this letter to the ministry, is it going to yield results? Are we optimistic that when you write to the ministry, it has to, like, you will achieve what you wanted?
Absolutely. Why not? He must get what he has requested for.
Well, personally, I know of those who have written to the ministry and it has written back to them. But how sure are we that...
You see, getting what you have requested for is not exactly to get them from the ministry. You can get them from some other people, right? To add on his voice, Honorable Dalton's voice, we have seen the guild leaders of Bishop Stuart University making alarms, shouting that they have no food.
Yes.
Recently, I had to call my woman member of parliament to come and help students from Rikunjiri. I'm in touch with the Honorable Dan Kimosho of Kazo to come and help students who are stuck in hostels.
Yes.
So if this very gentleman has done so,
MPs,
right?
Meaning the other students will have to struggle because the MPs
No. We are organizing all members of parliament. And whoever does not pay attention to his students who are stuck in hostels, we shall bring him to notice. We shall say, please, this is a very person who have totally failed to help his students.
Thank you
Look
very
here.
Thank you very much, Honorable Denmark. It is getting hotter and we need to go for a short commercial break and take some water to first of all cool our temper. And of course, we have to also remember that it's 200 million.
Yes.
That all our members of parliament.
Students must have a share of
At least, yes, logically, we should at least have something. But as we go for the break, we need to remember that there is some money that is available for us, so this cause can at least have some aid. All this and much more we call. You can also be a part of the show. You can send in your feedback regarding all this. Thank you very much, and we shall see you shortly after this break.
My name is Stuart Mayera, also known as Stuart Gates. I'm a YATU student from Political Sciences and the GRC of that constituency. I greet you all in the name of the Almighty God. Thank you for the opportunity of inviting me on this platform to discuss and answer a few questions you have posed to me. I was asked why I had to go to the ministry myself such that I can further my course. Skipping levels, I opted to skipping levels rather than going direct to the ministry. Well, allow me first to put you right that it was not, I didn't go to the ministry for my own cause. Rather, I went to the ministry for the cause of all of us generally. To begin with, this is how I'm going to explain this to you. What do you do? Allow me to begin by posing the question to you. What do you do in case the leaders are not doing what they are supposed to do? In case the leaders are reluctant, what do you do? Because I myself, at some point, I realized there are a lot of inaccurate, incorrect, erroneous, unlawful, reprehensible, and iniquitous acts that are going on. But you find that these are going on in our presence, and everyone is remaining silent. Speaking about this is like swallowing one's own soul. So at this point, this is where my mind and my soul and my emotions got filled up, and I decided to pick a pen and a paper to write to whom it concerns. Well, because that explains that the people maybe we had expected to do it didn't do it in time. So I decided to pick a pen and a paper, just like any other concerned citizen of Uganda or any other concerned student. That is what you have to do, because sometimes you find that the leaders disappoint us. They don't do what they are supposed to do in time and on time. So that is where we end up doing things ourselves. Well, I didn't skip levels as such, as you may call it, but the people who are supposed to do the tasks I did were not compliant. somehow they disappointed us. They didn't keep in touch with us, the students generally. So that is how we decided. But an encouragement to fellow leaders and to the entire population is that we should work together to achieve the impossible. Yes. Well, I decided to do that because just like Martin Luther King Jr. said that the time is always right to do what is right. I believe that I did what is right because any time is right to do what is right. Lastly, to end with, I'm encouraging all of us that we should come up with solutions, since our leaders at times don't seem to care for us, but instead care for the next general election. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Just before the break, we had a very hot conversation here in the studio where Honorable Adios was seriously agitating for support for this very person. But we shift now our attention to a body that is directly associated with our interests, which is Uganda National Students Association. We want to first of all ponder on the fact that is it a silent body? This I will take a minute to first of all pick your mind on every one of you to tell us, is it a silent body? Thank you. I will start with Dr.
Thank you very much. I don't want to give the position of UNSA as a body. I want to give a position of Dalton as a member of UNSA.
Yes.
I must not state that it is silent or not, but on the mandate of
Yes.
UNSA
Yes.
does not give it a very big platform to come out because UNSA is the same autonomous body. It is under the Ministry of Education. And as well, we might not picture that the patron is the president, and then it gives it a mandate to override over any other interest of this country.
Yes.
But also must know that this is a body, a students-led body. Because if you're to check out, it is either coordinators or the executive secretary leading this organization. But in the end of it all, we must know that these are students that are mandated to being in class, that these are students that are also affected by the personal problems. But in the long run, the objectives of UNSA are clear, that we are developing people for national development, that we are connecting students to one another, and we are charting way forward for the betterment of these students.
Yes.
But its position as UNSA does not give it a mandate to override any other interests of this country. But as a semi-autonomous body, it is that we as members, when you call out to it, it should come to us.
Yes.
But when it doesn't come, it means it's a silent body. When it comes, then it is an active body. But in the further discussion, we shall see how many times has UNSA come when you have called down to it. How many times has UNSA come in such a pandemic to listen to students? But as of now, I must say it's a silent body.
Honorable Cynthia.
Thank you so much. UNSA for now, according to me, Cynthia, as an aspirant leader for the UNSA body, I may say UNSA is also a leadership body like others. It can also be a silent body or an active body, according to the concerns that come to it, because UNSA is also, and in most cases UNSA being a student-led body,
Yes.
it may not be all that active, because it does not also lead itself. It also follows certain procedures.
I appreciate what you're saying, but at least you may not be in position to do certain things physically, but at least communication is key. You need to make those subjects of yours aware of what you're going to do or what is in stock for you. So do you think, does that qualify it to be silent?
No, it doesn't.
It is not silent, right?
It is not silent.
Thank you.
Okay.
You see, several times I've told people that we shouldn't run away from the truth. UNSA is well known, is a state project. You get my point very well. UNSA is not independent. It's a state project. I must say it. Comfortable, I must repeat it. It's a state project that is led by Mr. Museveni. You get my point very well. And I can say from the beginning that I won't run out from the truth. It is a silent of now. It is not playing its role as UNSA.
Of now.
Of now it is silent.
Yes.
But afterwards, it is not.
We are in a moment where UNSA leaders must have said something or must have done something. But what have they done? And they silent. If the leaders are silent, is UNSA active or it's also silent?
Yes. So from your submissions, it is clear that we need to do something for UNSA to recognize that maybe
Obviously, actually I expect these aspirants now to start shouting and advocating for what they are entitled to.
I want to disagree with him.
Please,
whether you disagree with me or not, the truth is UNSA is silent, and I expect you students who are the registered members of Uganda National Students Association to advocate and demand for what you are entitled to.
If I may,
right?
if I may add to your submission,
yes.
if I may add to your submission,
yes.
Every student in Uganda
is registered with UNSA.
He remits a certain amount of money that is remitted to UNSA.
Yes.
So when we are talking of this, it is something that is directly associated with our pockets.
Yes.
Our finances.
Yes.
So I think
the taxpayers' money.
Let him give you information.
Where he says you have to demand for your entitlement.
Yes.
So when something is entitled to you,
yes.
then you don't really need even to demand for it.
No, it depends. It depends on an environment. It depends on an environment. In a dictatorial environment like this one in Uganda, you have to demand for it, even if you are entitled to it. You have to demand for it.
Well, but if I may come in,
yes.
We want to discuss this not from a political side.
Yes.
Because when
you can't run away from politics if you talk of UNSA. The students' body that is led, where the patron is the president of this country, Mr. Tiwabu. I have participated in UNSA. At least last time I was in elections, in UNSA elections. I saw what happened there. The president decides who to be the president of UNSA.
No,
you get my point?
Granted,
asking me why and how he decides how one should be the president of UNSA.
Okay, let me ask you the how and why.
Yes.
Now, if I may ask you, it is not important whether the president determines who becomes who.
Yes.
But even if he came today and chose somebody from the street to be the UNSA president,
which is impossible.
I'm saying because you said he has the power to do so.
Yes, from the students.
Yes, from the students.
The president does not have that power.
May I know?
This is
thank you. Thank you very much. I gave him a chance and an opportunity to ask me why and how the president can choose one to be the UNSA president in this country.
I am still coming.
That is not true.
I'm formulating my question.
That is not true.
And of course, the political side is the one that influences the position. But once you're in that position, now that is where we are. You're in that position. You've been chosen to be whether you're influenced by the president
by the help of him.
Yes.
Yes.
You're there. Now, for us students, we are not supposed to be aware of that. What we want is that we have a leadership, and we are tasking that leadership to do something, especially to do with data packages for us to continue with online learning. So, I want our discussion to be around that age. Let us leave the back end part of the president influencing. Let us now see the leaders that we have. So can they deliver?
They deliver if they have been brought by the
But there's no way they can deliver if the content of the owner is not interested in that.
If I can take on from what you discussed, I must first refute the fact that our UNSA is a body of blue or yellow or green. UNSA is a student's body. And when we talk about a student, we must know that there is a composition of UNSA as well stated in its constitution.
Very true.
You either be a secondary student and then belong to a district executive committee under that body. You also belong to the guild body at a tertiary level, at institutional level like a university, or maybe you're a district coordinator or staff of UNSA, as well as you have the National Executive Committee to take over the responsibility of the sitting year at the time of the council. We must also know that UNSA has what we call a council sitting. which is the supreme organ to the executive, to the body, that any decision as per students can be taken by the council at the time of sitting. So, well, as we come to blame that it is politics in it, let's look at the picture. What has the National Executive Committee or what has it done in such a time when there is need by students? So that is a fundamental question that we will be asking at its silence or not. But when you have to marry the two, politics and the body, then we have lost that track.
Yes.
We want to see whether UNSA itself as a body has done enough. And regardless of the politics, because we understood that there is no...
Honorable Adios, before you can come in, our viewers have sent in interesting feedback, and
if I can first finish my point so that he doesn't get misled again. The point is that we've said there is no student who is blue or yellow. So I definitely don't expect at the time of voting...
You see, I don't understand the reason why Mr. Dalton is running away from the truth. Is it because you are a candidate?
No,
don't run away from the truth. People out there are watching. They know that in UNSA there is blue, there is red, there is yellow. I participated in that election. I know it. Okay. I was there. I was tortured. I was actually threatened by the Captain Semper.
Okay, it's unfortunate for you.
Let us first of all receive the feedback as we cool down our tempers onto what transpired then. We have Honorable Barije Paul Katunji. He says, I thank them. In this pandemic, they failed to talk with the Ministry of Education to work on how students can study in this pandemic. Through online, even we have seen that the government is increasing tax on data, and instead of reducing it. Kiziche Koleb says he's joining in from Busheni. We have Niwaha Ivan who says the show is very wonderful. Ahereza Bain says he's also very on, and you can also keep those comments coming in via Facebook and even YouTube. You can also share your mind from what we submit. Now, we have very many issues that are very important and we need to focus them on.
Yes.
Of course, there is a lot of politics, as you've said, from UNSA.
And that's why has led UNSA failed to perform.
Well, I was once...
Because they are looking at their interests.
Yes, I was once... First wait, it is me speaking. I was once on the UNSA executive, but on the lower side of the district, the district executive committee of Mbarara. But I must say there is a lot of challenges that impede you from doing what you're supposed to do. So I agree with you on that. But I want us to shift our argument to issues which are very important. There is a student watching us and he's asking, how do I get help for my data? Whether the president influences whatever happens, it is not incumbent on me. I'm not concerned. But what I want is that I have a lecture on Monday. My data has been increased by 12%. I need the relevant stakeholders to come to my aid. Can we discuss that?
Okay.
Especially in regard to assistance for our fellow students.
You see,
academic-wise.
You see, it is very good to discuss such issues you have brought, right? But we should have left something important outside. We must first know the reasons why UNSA has totally failed to perform.
If it would be a subject to discussion, that would be very good.
You see, but even when UNSA fails,
yes,
we want UNSA to fail in terms of agitating for the reasons of students getting the data they want. Relief packages in terms of the data they need.
And that's the reason why I've been telling that the students leaders now have a very big task, a very big role to advocate and actually tell the UNSA leaders, the current UNSA leaders, that please, look here, this should be done this way, this should be done this way.
Waiting for.
Yes, and because I said that there are a lot of politics there, that's why some of them cannot even say anything. They are just silent because they are interested in positions in UNSA. They know once they start shouting, the UNSA people, the patron, the president will beat them up. Please don't run away from the truth.
That
Okay.
is not true.
Yes, let
if
them
I
first
will
give
take it
information.
from on there, what is the status quo in our country? It is that there is a pandemic ongoing.
Yes.
And we as students need to see UNSA come to us other than us going to it. But what is the status quo at a body level as UNSA as an institution? We know it's a failed body as of now. And regarding from very many points of view, from the constitutional view and from the political view, we must well understand that this body that was instilled in, the National Executive Committee, has been in power since 2020, or if not 2019.
Yes.
But it has overstayed in power. And that is a fundamental question that we'll be discussing. That why is the body not working? Because people are working out of the Constitution. Because the Constitution says by December each year, that should have been 2020, they should have left office. But they did not leave. And if we discuss such issues, then we would give a better direction to a student out there.
That's a very
Yes,
good.
so-
And I have a question on that very line.
If I drive my point,
Honorable David,
Yes.
before you can come in, I would like us to give the opportunity to the lady in the studio. We have taken up the show from her. Let us speak her mind on that.
Thank you so much. Me, I think the reason as why Adius is over complaining about the UNSA things, or maybe the UNSA not working, maybe you do not have some knowledge about on why UNSA is not performing sometimes.
I'll ask you a
Because
question then.
UNSA, like he said, UNSA has gotten some issues and challenges on its leadership.
Have they told us that? How come that you know those challenges? Had the good president come? Rather the UNSA president come on air and say,
And
please,
come-
we
and
have
come.
these challenges
No,
and talk to the
the thing
nation.
is
Because
like-
UNSA is a very big thing
The thing
in
is-
this country,
Yes,
right?
I agree with you. And
For you know, fortunately you know, but does your students at
St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's know the very things you know? Does our students at Bishop Stewart know the very things you know?
Okay,
that
let's
UNSA
have-
is facing such challenges.
then-
They are not aware. That's the
then-
reason why you have actually brought up that topic.
Yes.
Are they helping
And,
them?
Let her give her complete her submission.
Yes.
I'm still sticking to my point that if at all the UNSA leadership goes back to its respect of the constitution, then UNSA would start performing.
Well,
if I say something.
first wait. For UNSA to go back, I want us to completely, basing on the history of UNSA, UNSA has also been in court, and there is a lot that has been happening with UNSA. Can we shift our attention to other things which are not directed with UNSA? Because when you are to reach the exact core of the problem with UNSA, it is a discussion for another day. But I want us to now focus on which ways we can have our students, how we can support efforts like Stewart's effort, again, of having at least our students subsidized on the data that they consume every day. I had already mentioned of the 200 million that is given to members of parliament.
And that's politics. You have brought politics now on the floor.
Yes, but we want to use politics to achieve what we want, not discussing politics. But now, it is, of course, this money is not, we don't have rights over it. It is for members of parliament. But it is also clear to every one of us that all MPs have cars. Usually for you to win an election in Uganda for member of parliament, you need to have money which sustains you to buy a vehicle. Can we call upon our members of parliament to, from that amount,
You see, as students
help us.
leaders, before we go to the member of parliament, can we call the UNSA leaders to address our challenges as students, whether they are in recess or not?
Okay.
Can they come and tell us what is happening there?
Let
Okay,
us
if
have
I
Dalton
want
answer your question.
to start from where he had picked on, or where he had stopped from the last time, telling us that UNSA body should come and at institutional level, and we tell students that it's a failed body. It is like telling your mother to discuss bed issues in a sitting room. And that is not a spirit that we tell the other leaders that we sent to the National Executive Committee. We say the status quo could be a very big problem at UNSA. But I want our dear viewer to understand that UNSA is a body that you subscribe to annually. And it is a UNSA that is mandated under the Ministry of Education and Sports. Whereas you have 15 million students in this country, and they subscribe 2,000 each of these students to the body. So you expect yourself to have a quite equal sum of money, about 15 billion at the end of the year. So it's a body that can sustain itself. But what are the fundamental problems in the long run that happen? It's a body led by students, who have also personal problems.
Yes.
It's a body that at times of service, we have one person at the sitting who is the executive secretary in office and is unable to run the students' program.
Yes.
I must say that right now students are also under lockdown. They are not essential workers. But I say the status quo is there are fundamental questions that we need to solve. Is the constitution being followed? Because we have a sitting executive committee that is no longer in power.
Yes.
Because we know that the speaker at the time, 31st December, we expect reports to hand over in the office. But whereas
because of unprecedented times that we are in.
Yeah, because of the unprecedented times that we are in, but it still remains a constitutional issue, regardless, because we had an election in the country. So we should have seen transformation of power in a student's body. And therefore we should have demanded that, why is data not available? Why shouldn't the systems come? But you must also understand that at the National Executive Committee, we have a representative to National Council for Higher Education. It is National Council for Education that sets these guidelines that go and teach online.
Yes, yes.
But have we given them opportunity to come and discuss on table with us? So therefore, it means there is a lot of efforts that deprive UNSA interests. That in the end, UNSA tries to work, but a lot of stumbling blocks. But we want to look at how we help a student down there. Having understood that every student, right from secondary senior one up to the highest level of learning, because the student does not talk about which kind of, and as we said, we can have a council to decide on the way forward. But we do not know which council can we have. It could be a church council. If 15 or 20 meet and discuss the issue, then UNSA would give a way forward. But those are questions that we, as a student leaders, we must have answered. Should we have a church council to discuss students' issues? No, the constitution should talk about the council, whereas we talk about 50%. Should we have 50% of 15 million? Could we make a sitting of 7.5 million? Of course, it's such an impossible issue. Whereas now we get back to the status quo of the constitutional matter, that we should have had change of leadership as effective as 31st December of 2020. And this did not come. We are now in 2021, it has not yet even come. So those are questions that maybe a student listening to us should take to task, that
and some of those leaders no longer subscribe to the qualification of,
because they are no longer students at the moment. So it is very hard for them to discuss students' interests as of now. So we, as my position as an aspirant, we need to see transition of power and then mandate these students who understand that, well, as I'm doing a lecture, I need about 1 GB to handle a class. Yes. And then I will sit with the Minister of Education to discuss table. But you also must understand that the composition of UNSA has people that should have also seen this. Because even when the body itself has wrong people as leaders at a sitting, we also must know that we have what you call the Board of Trustees, that has the Minister for Gender, the Executive Secretary for Gender, then we have Permanent Secretary for Gender, and
yes.
That ministry, we have the Minister of Education. And so these are people that in the long run, as we quarrel that we have a problem of standard students, it has been the Ministry of Gender that has been collecting the signatories and these people to give them relief food.
Yes.
But it's the same ministry that has not considered international students, whereas we the local students would feel okay and will be deported back home, but they have not considered international students. So we also want to say that we have very many failing, stumbling blocks. It is the Minister of Education that still the Permanent Secretary is a sitting member to the National Council Board. We have a member of the we have the student representative of the National Council for Education. But every time we see guidelines from the National Council and we have not seen a student consent to such systems. But which student do we have? Because we do not have a sitting student at the moment. Those are fundamental questions that as a body need to ask. So the demand in the long run goes back to a student. We the members, we must task the UNSA body to in the end have an election as effective as possible. We must task the president, who is the patron, because now we are not marrying into politics as my brother Denmark does, but the patron must understand there is a clique of students suffering out there.
And whenever you don't have an active leadership in place, usually certain things go amiss.
Yeah, those are the problems that we have, because we have wrong leadership now. And it's not a matter of discussion, it's a constitutional issue. They should have left as soon as possible. And I must tell the students and the viewers that we as student leaders and as parents, we are not seated. We are working so much closely. We want to change the leadership as soon as possible, and we shall all tackle the problems. We will understand that even after the situation has normalized, we should put a favorable learning system.
Yes.
It should not be because of a pandemic.
It should be food for thought for something else that might pop up in the future.
Yeah, very true. And so we must keep on to work the system to its best.
Very good comments from the analytical side of it from Honorable Dalton. And of course, as we come towards the closure of this program, as we prepare our parting shots on this, we want to, of course, now see, for example, now you people who are coming up on board to aspire for this leadership, now provided that you're active students, is it a matter of service or position? Because when it is usually a matter of position, then the impact is low. When it is a matter of service, even when all ways are blocked, as long as there is a will, there is always a way. So as we come from this short break, we want to see and ponder as part of our conclusion on you leaders who are coming up on board. Do we need position for us to even start acting? Because I believe we even don't need, somebody can be a mere student and agitate for change. All this and much more as we come from this short and final break. Thank you for watching.
Do you have Uganda at heart? How about buying products made in Uganda by Ugandans from a Ugandan online shop anywhere, anytime?
Introducing GuzaUG.com, a one-stop center for Uganda's locally made products. Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
I am Ugandan. So a few days ago, you joined the crowds in the market for your fresh foods. You'd equally brave the risky streets, exposing yourself to the virus.
Cut the hustle. If you're in Mbarara, all your fresh foods can now find you on your doorstep. Download a Let's Farm Shop app from Play Store to order now.
Do you have Uganda at heart? How about buying products made in Uganda by Ugandans from a Ugandan online shop anywhere, anytime?
Introducing GuzaUG.com, a one-stop center for Uganda's locally made products. Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
I am Uganda.
Welcome back, our dear viewer of Youth TV. The Youth Feedback is the program streaming on right now. And as we come towards the closure and the end of this very program, before the break, we ask ourselves, is it a matter of service or position? Do we need to first of all take up positions in order for us to be awakened to our roles as students, agitating for a certain change in different aspects of our lives? I will start with Cynthia.
Yes, thank you so much. Service is not about position.
Yes.
Service is all about the effort, passion, and entitlement also sometimes is considered, because sometimes you cannot just come out of the blue and you say I'm fighting or I'm requesting for the youth rights or the students' rights when you're not even a student, because questions will come at how are you? Who are you? You're just from there. How are you concerned with the students? What concerns?
Why are you even concerned?
Why are you even concerned? So sometimes titles are also they also matter. Yeah. So I think, and I'm well sure that for a leader to perform, it is not about title, but sometimes it also matters. Yes.
So, yes, Honorable Dalton, what is your take on that?
John Maxwell says, even without titles, we are still leaders. And for this cause of Uganda National Students Body, we are already members. And that mandate, a member is entitled to a certain privilege.
Yes.
well stated in its objectives. Every member is enforced to have that objective in his or her heart. And therefore, it is not a question of title or service. Because we well know that Jesus Christ did not have any title other than being a son of God. And
well, somebody might say that is a title.
No, that is who described him as,
yes,
but he was not anyone. But in the end, he did a lot of service to his people. And the Bible very well states that we are from the image of that man. And it means that we should do service the same way he did.
Recently, the president said he appointed his ministers, considering them that they were fishermen, like Jesus' disciples.
No, you know, when this country has a lot of diversion to take us from the picture. You know, we had a lot of issues from the selection committee, but the lot of diversion that the president had to put was to change the other picture. You who are selecting these and scrutinizing them, let's focus on this.
But usually, if I can just interrupt, usually people who are not in those high positions, usually they deliver. That is a fact.
Yes.
Yes, you would say they usually deliver, but it is about how close. Yes, sometimes you give bigger burdens to the people. But in this issue of UNSA, everyone is a member, so you do not need to have a title to offer service. As I may say now, we already have a petition ongoing. We need to change the leadership as immediate as possible because students want to see the visibility of their membership fee. We need to see what has UNSA sought of us as students and as members. And regardless of the precedent issues that we are having, the constitutional matters, change of leadership, maybe, but we well understand that we have statutory members that are there, those would be associate members that are there, and we shall do this to our very best. So it does not need us to have titles first. That is why we are not seated even without titles. We are working so much closely. And I must not say that the Honorable GRC from MAST, he didn't use any title to communicate to this country.
Yes.
Yeah. So it does not need any title to offer service to the students of this country. So, but it is also prudent that at times you need to get a title. You know, the Ugandan government, it's where you talk about the qualification, it is who has sent you here. And so in the end of it all, we must understand that I am the General Secretary of UNSA. I've come to discuss matters that affect students. And that is also important.
And usually the position also gives you an added advantage to access certain resources. Yes, Honorable Cynthia.
Yes.
Is it? Oh, yeah, yes. So about this, you are aspiring candidates for the Uganda National Students Association body. And of course, you answered the question I was going to ask you next, which is, before you people can take up those positions, what have you done? So that it is from that we can base on and say these people are going to deliver. So, as Cynthia, what have you done individually to make sure that you agitate for students' rights?
Thank you so much. I have, me as the General Secretary of our university, before I have really worked tirelessly for my university students because they are also students of the nation.
Yes.
And of course, as a leader, I've also made sure that I also participate in the national leadership, which is a bigger platform for the whole country or for the nation.
Yes.
to represent the students of the country and to represent the students of the country in the issues they are facing, the challenges, like right now. These are some of the issues that we are bringing on board, like discussing on what the gentleman was talking about, the issue he was talking about. We have honestly seen how the students are suffering, and we have honestly tried tirelessly to make sure the leadership is changed so that they can honestly see how best we can work for the students, because we honestly see this is the big challenge that our students are facing is the change of the leadership. And that is the writing of the petition that we have so far reached on, so that at least when the leadership is changed, something can happen or something can change, because these students are suffering because they do not have a voice. They are not they are not represented honestly. The people who are supposed to represent them, they completed their term of service and they are now doing their own stuff. And right now you cannot call them from their homes, from their workplaces, to come and represent the students, and in any case they are no longer even students. How do they even come here to represent the students? So that is the biggest thing we are doing right now, is to make sure that the office is changed, the leadership is changed, so that the leadership, the new leaders can take over the responsibilities and do what they are supposed to do, and we see how best our students be represented and be hoped on such issues coming up. Thank you so much.
Thank you also for your submission. And my second last question to you is that our students have been compelled to embrace online learning at all costs. Which measures do you suggest to the stakeholders watching us right now about packages and solutions to help them at least have the subsidization on the data that they have as leaders?
Now, and on goal, yes. But it's the same way for UNSA. We might not have gone to UNSA before to have changed the problems UNSA might have had. But I very well understand that UNSA has we can bring to board Minister of Education and tell them, look here, we have 15 million voices. And we are saying, no, that is not as cheap as possible. You either tell us we do not pay fees and concentrate on data, or maybe you either tell us that we pay data and concentrate on fees. And which is also an equivocal question that anyone might not easily understand and answer. But we very well know that even these people that are stakeholders very well understand that these challenges are happening. But we say that UNSA has its own problems that we look forward to solving as immediate as possible. And then in the end, in our first move is that we are going to sit down from our representative from National Council, from the position I as the General Secretary and all the other 12-member committee from the National Executive Committee shall sit down and discuss these issues that are affecting students, starting from the e-learning systems. In a country where taxes on equipment for learning are still expensive, on a country where data is still expensive for students, and in the end we shall decide on our way forward. Because this is an issue that might not be an issue of students alone, which needs students, stakeholders from this country to decide on our way forward. So we need the government to come and sit with students and we discuss this.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dalton, and thank you also our viewers for watching and also sending in your feedback. Trizuche Koleb says, I don't think UNSA can perform bigger than when Mr. Museveni is still a patron. He continues to also say that, does UNSA constitution give a mandate to change the patron because he is the problem of the body? Again, these are views and ideas of the person and the people that send them, not as from AIT TV. And of course, I would like to have your ending remarks on what you have at your fingertips when you're entrusted with the offices that you want, in a minute.
Well, thank you very much. Right from the viewer that you mentioned about whether the UNSA constitution has a mandate. Yes. But we say council is the supreme organ, is the supreme at the time of sitting. So council can give the election and say no, regardless of what we have in the constitution, because the constitution does not talk about President Museveni as the patron. Yes. It talks about the president of the country. But the council can sit and say, no, regardless of the prevailing situation, we think this position of as a patron is not equivalent enough to the service that we deserve. And therefore we can decide on a way forward on which other patron they can put. But in my view, and as a position of aspiring General Secretary for UNSA, I must restate that we are not seated for our students out there. We are looking forward to putting affordable measures for such prevailing situations of e-learning. We are looking forward to sitting down and have an election happen in a body, and we are looking forward to use all available means, whether constitutional or whether political means, to have the body revert back to its normal and do the service to students.
Please conclude that with what you have, the first 2 points you have in trying to what you have for our students when you're interested with the office.
Point number one is that we are looking forward to having them have favorable learning systems, because as provided by the Constitution of UNSA, we must do that as a mandate.
Second.
And two, we look forward to bringing all students in body and decentralizing UNSA to everybody.
Yes.
Because I understand that there are some viewers that still don't even understand UNSA itself.
Yes.
So we shall bring it to students.
Honorable Cynthia, what do you have as the best option for our leaders?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this great opportunity to talk to, which I've gotten today on TV, to talk to my fellow students, my fellow youth out there, because it has been a great while, and these are the things that I love most, that I'm much passionate about, and I'm happy today to talk to my youth that this Cynthia Kahiro is aspiring for Deputy Speaker for Uganda National Students Association, and right now, if at all the election was there today or tomorrow, and I happen to be the Deputy Speaker of the Uganda National Students Association, the first thing I would do is to represent the students of this country fully as the Deputy Speaker, and make sure that all the challenges, the problems they are facing are well settled and well catered for. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Cynthia, aspiring UNSA candidate for the Deputy Speakership. Thank you very much, Honorable Dalton Ampumuza, Speaker, Bishop Stewart University, and aspiring General Secretary, Uganda National Students Association. And thank you very much, our viewers, for taking the time and viewing this show from where it started and up to where it ends. This show is always live, and you can always catch it on Facebook and YouTube. And before we can close, I have two more comments as feedback, whereby Mchunguzi Pope Francis says Ruth Niwahereza is aspiring to be your assistant at UNSA. Then we also have, he continues, Mchunguzi Pope Francis says, the ES must resign if we are to achieve the goals of UNSA. Okori Brian says the issue is transition in the leadership and nothing else. Thank you, team. Thank you very much, Okori Brian and Mchunguzi Pope Francis, and thank you for your submissions. These are ideas and views of specific people, not from AIT TV as a media outlet. Thank you very much once again for watching us, and you can expect to again have this show next Sunday at 11 a.m. And thank you very much. God bless you. Enjoy a wonderful Sunday.
Do you have Uganda at heart? How about buying products made in Uganda by Ugandans from a Ugandan online shop anywhere, anytime?
Introducing GuzaUG.com, a one-stop center for Uganda's locally made products. Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
So a few days ago, you joined the crowds in the market for your fresh foods. You'd equally brave the risky streets, exposing yourself to the virus.
Cut the hustle. If you're in Barara, all your fresh foods can now find you on your doorstep.